Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter, or the Frugal Detective. I thought I would compare a couple brands of colored pencils today that a viewer reached out to me and said they thought they were the same. Now, these are both legacy brand pencils, meaning they are from two really big companies, so I thought it was probably unlikely that the pencils were the same, but I am always looking to compare things and see what's similar, see where you can find products that work well together, and see maybe where you might be able to save a little money, or find a product in your area that you didn't think you'd have access to because it's not sold where you are. Maybe there's another alternative. So these are two brands that I think are very high quality. We're talking about Faber Castell. These are the Faber Castell Black Edition colored pencils, and also Derwent, and these are the Derwent Chromaflow pencils. So a viewer reached out to me on Instagram and said he ordered some Faber Castell black pencils, and he knew that I've reviewed them. And he said, I got one orange Crhomaflow in the box. It was the weirdest thing, and he ordered them directly from Faber Castell, allegedly. And so he said he swatched the orange one out with the one next to the Faber Castell Black Edition pencil he had, and he said they were identically the same in feel and whatnot. Now, the pencils don't look the same, and we're going to look at those in a second, but I thought I'm going to swatch out the Faber Castell set of 36 that I have. I think it's 36. And then I was also going to compare them with the most similar colors from the Derwent Chromaflow line, which I'm pretty comfortable with because I've actually done work for from Derwent before. So I liked these pencils. I was really curious, and I had these, but I never really thought they felt that similar. So let's look at the pencils right off the bat. So this one right here is the Faber Castell black pencil. There's no color numbers or names on them. They have a black wood casing, and they are triangular in shape. Now, I have not seen or used the Faber Castell, I think they're called Ergo Soft, but they are also a black barreled black wooden pencil that I've heard that the leads are exactly the same as what's in the Black Edition. They're just sold for other markets, other countries. I can't confirm that that's the case because I've never used them, but that's what I've been told from several people. And then in contrast, we have the Derwent Chromaflow pencil. This one's been used a little bit. They have the name and number printed on each barrel. The Faber Castell pencils are made in Brazil. The Derwent Chromaflow pencils are made in Britain, and they're even stamped with made in Britain. And I know there's some pretty strict laws about calling something made in Britain or not. To my eye, it looks like the Crhomaflow pencil lead may be a little bit bigger. It's kind of tough to tell. Well, actually, if I look straight down, and maybe you can see on camera, I'm going to hold it over the black area. Maybe that will be easier. Let me zoom in a bit. That might be a little bit easier too. I'm just going to put my hand here for maybe it will focus a little bit better. It looks to me that the Crhomaflow lead is thicker. Let's try a couple other. Let's do maybe a yellow because that might show up a little bit better. Let's take these two. It's hard to tell because, well, for one, my camera doesn't want to focus. Come on, focus. Let's see. I have nothing. Well, you know what? Maybe I can take this swatch sheet and hold it. Okay. It's hard to tell. You know what? Let's do a light and a dark because the dark lead will show up better on the, let's do one that's a little bit better centered than that though. Maybe this one. Maybe we can see. Does that one look? It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. I think the Crhomaflow looks thicker than the Faber Castell Black Edition. But that's not really what I'm here to test. What I'm here to test is how does the lead feel. So I'm going to zoom back out so we can see our swatches. So they do feel similar, I will say that, and they do have a similar opacity. But one thing I noticed as I was swatching is that and I'm swatching on Strathmore Tone Tan sketch paper. One thing I noticed is that and this is the Faber Castell Black. This is a Faber Castell Black. This is a Crhomaflow to the right. This is Crhomaflow to the right. One thing I noticed, I'm going to try to get it to catch in the light, is that the Black Edition from Faber Castell is much waxier and reflects the light more. And they also appear to be a little bit less pigmented, it feels, as I'm coloring them out. Of course, the colors don't match exactly, which I think is kind of a good thing because if you loved the Faber Castell Black Edition but you want more colors, you can get the 72 set of Crhomaflow and not have a lot of duplicates. Of course, I have the 36 set, so there's some colors that are in the Black Edition I don't have. But you could get a very similar pencil without duplicates if you went with the Crhomaflow, and then you could mix them together. So that's one thing I noticed right off the bat. The Faber Castell Black was more waxy, but they did feel pretty similar. I wouldn't say exactly, but pretty similar. So something I thought it would be fun to test would be to do a gradient of colors with both the Faber Castell Black and the Derwent Chromaflow, and then we could kind of decide, you know, if like how similar they are. So let me take 3 colors in Crhomaflow, and let me take 3 colors in Faber Castell Black. I think these are probably pretty close. I love to do the blends with these colors for some reason. I'm going to scoot these out of the way and zoom in so you'll be able to see a little bit. And that way we can color these right next to each other. We can compare how they feel. Well, I can compare how they feel. Let's start with each of these being nice and sharp. I got my sharpener here. Both pencils sharpen really well. And I didn't have any breakage. I think the Faber Castell Black is more aimed and marketed to teenagers. And the Derwent Chromaflow is more marketed to adult coloring book enthusiasts. The Derwent Chromaflow did have some light fastness charts available on their website. They took them off their website, but they did give me permission to reprint them on my blog. I'll show you here, but I do have this on my blog if you'd want to check that out. I'll add a link. It was on the review for the Crhomaflow. So they do have decent light fast ratings for some of these colors, and I think maybe they were worried that this would compete a little bit more with their more artist grade lines, so they decided not to put the light fast ratings on their new chart. At least maybe they've changed it since then, but I thought that was really interesting that a lot of them have fairly decent light fast ratings. But let's start here. Let's start with our darker color. I've got my Crhomaflow, and I'm just gonna see. I don't feel a lot of drag. It doesn't feel sticky, but it does feel like a waxy pencil. And this is the rougher side of Canson mixed media paper, I believe. I'm just varying my pressure here. It's very comfortable. It doesn't, you know, hurt my hands to use. I don't have arthritis, but you know, sometimes your hands just get tired. Now I'm going to do a little bit more pressure and see. Got maybe a teeny bit of dust, not much at all. Okay, that's just a gradient with a dark color. Let's do the same thing with our Faber Castell Black. The pigmentation looks really nice. Actually, I almost feel like with this darker color, I'm using less pressure with the Faber Castell Black than I was with the Crhomaflow, which is surprising to me. The color is a little bit darker. I went as close as I could find for 3 colors that would go together. I'm going to do a little more pressure up here. It's filling the tooth nicely. And I've actually got a really nice pigment load there. Now I'm going to go to the next medium color here. I'm going to overlap my darker color. I'm starting to feel a little bit of stickiness on the Crhomaflow. Now I'm going to go with the medium color here of the Faber Castell Black. Whoops, let's start it up here like I did on the other one. Laying down very nicely, actually. I'm actually surprised at how well the Faber Castell Black is doing, because it's quite an affordable pencil. Then I'm going to go in with a lighter color on the Crhomaflow. I'm going to start at the bottom. I'm actually going to burnish with this, so I'm going to use quite a bit of pressure, and I'm going to go over the whole thing to kind of blend and merge the colors together. I get a little bit of crumbling of the wax, not too bad. I'm going to do the same thing with the Faber Castell Black Edition. The tip did snap on that. So maybe these are a little bit softer than the Crhomaflow. I'm having a little bit of difficulty getting this lighter color to stick on top of the Black Edition. I think that might be because of the wax, but it definitely has plenty of pigment there. So now I'm going to go back in with a darker color. I'm going to see, did I have a darker? I really didn't have a darker teal in the Crhomaflow. But see, this is where I think we could use these two sets together really well to kind of get a better range if that's something you were after. I'm still able to lay down more color with this darker one, which is really nice. And just kind of fade it in. Add a little bit more of the mid-tone so I can get that nice gradient and blend it in with the light. Let's do that again with the Black Edition. Yeah, I'm still able to put some color on top. A little bit, it does want to ball up the color a little bit. I gotta lay off my pressure. I feel like you do need to put a little more pressure with the Black Edition as you're layering up. So, this is getting a little streaky here. I think maybe the Faber Castell would probably be better for blending in fewer layers. And if you want to have a little more layer, maybe use the Crhomaflow. But let's take a look at that. Now, honestly, when you got this much wax in, I do notice a little bit more of shine. I don't know if that's gonna catch on the light. I'm gonna try to catch the. Oh, there we go. So you can see we got more waxy buildup on the Faber Castell Black Edition. Now let's see how it does with some odorless mineral spirits, because I know a lot of people like to use those. I'm going to use a cotton swab though for this, because I think that will probably work a little bit better. Got so much on here. Alright, so let's start first here. I'll do the Crhomaflow. I'll start light and work dark because we've got plenty on there. That will often take care of your glare. Yeah, that worked really well. I'm just going to use the other side of the cotton swab. Which one do we? I think we did light to dark. Yeah, worked on both. I'm gonna hit that with a heat tool just for a second to help it dry. I'm gonna say these are fairly similar formulations, with the Faber Castell Black being a little bit waxier. But hey, if you are looking for nice opaque pencils and you want to expand the range of either of the brands, the more the merrier. They're both going to work really well together. Yeah, that odorless mineral spirits took the waxy shine away. I feel like I got a better range with the Crhomaflow, but I also felt like I wouldn't have needed to put quite as much as I did with the Faber Castell Black. So I'm going to say very similar. They're not the same. They're not the same formulation in the lead, but they do feel quite similar, and they will play really nicely together. So here I'll show you again the swatches that I did, just kind of comparing my 36 set to the similar colors in the 72 range, which is a full range of Crhomaflow. And I mean, I'm looking through to see if any of these are exact matches. Actually, those oranges are pretty close. I wonder if those are the ones that my Instagram friend got. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking, and these were the closest matches that I came across. I mean, those two are kind of close, but not really. Not exact. Those two are pretty close. So yeah, this would be a great way to expand your colors. I swatched that one twice because it was kind of similar to those two, but actually it's not. It's kind of like darker than that. I think it would really be nice to use them together. Maybe we'll do one real quick. We'll do one more swatch, and we'll let's combine. Let's take this darker teal from the Black Edition, and let's do the let's just do the darker teal from the Black Edition and that lighter turquoise from the Crhomaflow line, and see how well these do together, because I think they'll do really well together. We gotta use them together, right? If we're gonna do this as a real comparison. Now, I'm not saying this to say, yeah, you need to buy both of them. You can't be happy with one or the other. Absolutely not. But this, if you live in, say you live in South America and you're like, oh, I really want to try Crhomaflow, but we don't have them here. Well, maybe the Faber Castell Black Edition is available where you are. Or maybe you live in America and you're like, oh, I wish I could get the Faber Castell Black Edition, or I wish I had more colors. You could buy the Crhomaflow instead because there's a greater range of colors, you know? It's nice to know what is similar. These are both similar to Prismacolor. So if you live in a country where you can't get Prismacolor, or maybe you're just frustrated because you experience a lot of breakage with Prismacolor, they're kind of hit or miss. I would say the build quality on both of these is better than Prismacolor. And I've always been a Prismacolor fan, so I'm not saying that to knock Prismacolor, but I am saying that Prismacolor does have some known issues. Yeah, these are going to work fine together. I think they probably blend a little bit nicer just with their own pencils, but they'll work fine together. Of course, I only use 2 colors in this, and I use 3 on the other one, so I don't think that's exactly apples to apples, but yeah, they'll work together. They break down very similarly with odorless mineral spirits. Yeah, I think you could go either. You know, if you're looking for an alternative to Prismacolor, in fact, I could do a really quick little swatch with Prismacolor if you want. Just to, I've got an extremely large wet canvas on the easel. It's kind of like covering up my my rack with the Prismacolors. I just want to see what the Prismacolors feel like next to the Faber Castell. I can't trust my memory. I need to actually get the pencils in my hands. Prismacolors feel very similar. Prismacolors feel a little bit more pigmented, but it could just be the 2 colors that I grabbed. I think the Prismacolors just kind of lay down a thicker, I mean, they just lay down so much color at once. And they're not very dusty and crumbly. And there is some, there's some shine, but actually the Faber Castell Black had a little more shine than that. I can just do it real quick. And they blend out fine. I still think Prismacolor has a little bit higher pigment load. And that totally depends on where you live, how much it's, I can't say one's more expensive, one's less expensive, because depending on where you live and what sort of deals are going, it's really tough to say. But I would definitely say that you could substitute any of these 3 brands of soft pencils. If it was like kind of like an arthritis thing, you want the most comfortable thing if you have arthritis. I honestly think the Faber Castell Black probably needed the least amount of pressure. Let me just, let's see, Prismacolor, Faber Castell. I think because it's this feels a little bit drier maybe. Crhomaflow. I would say Faber Castell Black Edition if you've got arthritis and you want the absolute easiest to lay down pencil without much pressure at all, but you're limited to 50 colors in that line, so you could always get open stock Crhomaflow off the Derwent website if you want to just augment colors here and there. Faber Castell does not have open stock colors and on the Black Edition, and there's no color numbers or names, so if that's something that bothers you, you'd have to either name them yourself, like put a little piece of tape on it with a name or a number, or just kind of go by sight. I find the black wood does make it easy to see what your color is going to be, but you know, there's a lid for every pot out there when it comes to colored pencils. These are 3 great brands, and I don't think you can go wrong. I hope this helped clear up some of the speculation that the Crhomaflow and the Black Edition were the same. They're not, but they're very similar, just like they're similar to Prismacolor, and I don't think you can go wrong with any of the 3. I will link these down below if I can find them. I believe they're all available on Amazon and probably on Blick Art Materials. Obviously, if you have a store in your country that's not Amazon, check that out too, because oftentimes your independent stores are gonna be less. Often Blick is less than Amazon, but I always recommend checking both places so you get the best price. And you know what you should do if you have a bunch of pencils and you're wondering about buying these? Take your pencils out for a play date. Take them out, lay them on your table, mix and match them, see how they work together. Sometimes a pencil seems ho-hum until you mix it with the other pencils you already have, and then you're like, wow, these go great with that. And you just would never have discovered that if you don't mix these pencils together and play with them. I have a strong affection for the Derwent company. They are wonderful people over there. I know a lot of them personally, and I think their products are top notch. But that's not to say that I can't recommend other products too, because I want to make sure you get what's going to serve you the best. And what serves you the best might already be in your craft room, so don't feel like you need to have every set of pencil there is out there. I have a lot of pencils, but I like to compare them and review them and bring that information to you, so hopefully help people make the right decisions the first time so they don't end up with a big studio full of supplies that rarely get used. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them down below. I will try to catch them. And also, if you have used these products and you can answer some fellow commenters' questions, please chime in and help a fellow frugal crafter out. So we can kind of group source all of our supply info. Thank you so much for watching. Please give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed these comparisons. Until next time, happy crafting. Bye.